Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Wolodarsky. I'm joined by my colleague Holland, and together, along with Katie Larson in our SharePoint design team, we've created some assets that we thought might be interesting to this community, of course, including a hybrid workplace SharePoint site template and some end user training. So that's what we're going to be sharing with you today. Just a little bit of setup, and then we'll get into the demo. I think something that we can all appreciate is, as a result of the pandemic, it's really changed how we've worked over the last year plus timeframe, and it's changing how we are going to work post-pandemic. You just have to look at the data, and you can see some of that here on the slide. Over 80% of managers surveyed expect to have more flexible work from home post-pandemic. And then more than 70% of the employees and managers reported a desire to continue working from home at least part-time. And so at Microsoft, we believe the future of work is hybrid. And really, the essence of hybrid work is extreme flexibility in terms of where and when people work. Organizations now are rethinking how work is going to happen at their companies. They're creating new policies, whether this means portions of the week people will spend working from home and some in the office. That's pretty common, as well as flexible working hours. So that's kind of the reality of what's coming post-pandemic. And as we return to the workplace, moving to the hybrid work model is not just about continuing this great work from home experiment that we've all been participating in. There is a need to change behavior. And that means developing new skills so that we can work in this new hybrid work environment. There's also a collective effort that is required for a successful transition to this new way of working. We kind of view it as an organizational change initiative, and how we guide people through that journey to hybrid work is really important. There are risks if it's not done correctly. People won't buy in, people won't have the skills necessary to work in a hybrid world. So that's kind of how we're coming at it, especially with this first asset that we're going to be talking about of the two, and that is a new workplace transformation site template that's available up on the lookbook. This is a site that all of you can install today into your tenant environment, into your customer's tenant, and basically, like other site templates, it's something that you can make your own. Hopefully we've given a good head start, and we'll go through a demo in just a second. But it's got lots of hybrid work related content. We consulted very closely with our Microsoft research team. And why don't we take a look at what is available? So I'm just going to switch up here. So this is the hybrid work site. I did kind of skip ahead where you can find it. There's a link in the deck. You can go to, of course, lookbook.microsoft.com. If you go into the solutions section, you'll find it as one of the options along with all the other SharePoint site templates. And then, of course, there's a direct link that we'll have in the notes that you can get to it as well. So yeah, let me walk you through this. I'm going to just highlight some key sections. What you're looking at here is the home site. We're really hoping that organizations who are making this move to hybrid work can use this as a starting point for their change site related to the hybrid workplace. So, a lot of thought has gone into what hybrid work means. Because it's about changing people's behavior, we of course have to outline what's in it for them. And so you'll see a lot of that throughout the site. But the homepage here, you can see it's broken down into what's happening. So what's the change, what to expect, what you'll learn. We've got some new training playlists that Holland's going to share more about in just a moment, as well as where to go for questions and support and lunch and learns, all sorts of good community type resources and champion programs to help bring employees along this change journey. So let's dive in a little bit more into hybrid work. This is a kind of a deep dive into what this means. You'll find some great illustrations and PowerPoint slides or PDFs that really outline what a hybrid workplace is. We even got some content, a great package of the week in the life, which I'll just quickly show you here. So one important part of change management, getting people to adapt to a new world, is giving them a vision of what this new reality looks like. So this week in the life includes this PDF that shows, what a typical week is for somebody who's moved into this new hybrid world, and when they might come into the office, what sort of meetings they might do in the office versus at home. So very useful, I think, if you're trying to give people a picture of what to expect. We have this getting started. As I mentioned, we view this very much as a change journey. So we've included a hybrid work checklist that organizations can, again, use as a starting point for their own change management program to guide their new employees. So there's activities here in terms of making people aware, giving them the knowledge, getting them to buy in, and kind of persisting this change. One or two other quick things, some quick tips on how to adapt to this new hybrid work, planning work-life boundaries, maximizing your internet bandwidth. So really practical tips to make hybrid work more effective. Okay, so with that, I'm going to now hand it off to my colleague Holland, who's going to talk more about the hybrid work training playlist that we've made available. So Holland, over to you.
Thanks, Matt. Hello, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and pop up a couple slides and just walk you through our thinking behind the content that we did create and how it may apply to your organization and some different methods you can use to actually train end users on how to overcome all of these new challenges that are presenting themselves, both in the remote work situation and as we think about going back to the office. So what you'll see here on the slide is on the left-hand side, we've got sort of a landing page where we've created all this awesome end user content that can just be viewed at any time. This is on support.microsoft.com, as y'all are probably familiar with. And so content is available there. And then on the right hand of this slide, we're just telling you that it's also available in Learning Pathways playlist. So just talking a little bit about the content itself, where did we get the inspiration for this content and how did we know the different areas where users are going to need help? And so we're fortunate to have an in-house research team that's been studying remote work actually for years, it turns out. And they've got all these different sort of insights that they've gathered over the past year. And so training really falls into these three different buckets: meeting and collaboration, wellness and productivity, security and data protection. And so what we did is not only did we create sort of training content around these areas, but as Matt pointed out, in the site itself, we've got all sorts of inspirational content to get you going in the event that you want to use the workplace transformation site to transition your organization to hybrid work. So you'll see whispers of this training in the site itself. And then we've got those support.microsoft articles that I just pointed out, as well as Learning Pathways playlists for each of these sections. So what I'm going to do now is transition to the demo part of this. I'm not sure how many of y'all are already using M365 Learning Pathways, but it's a super cool tool. And a little bit about it, and in case you're not already using it and not familiar, is this is actually a Microsoft maintained content repository that's sort of like feeding into a tool that will display end user training for your organization. So what's great is you don't have to come up with the content and you don't have to maintain it. However, you can customize playlists to include Microsoft content and your own content. So there's a ton of flexibility with this solution. But kind of back to the hybrid work itself. So we've got three different playlists. This particular one focuses on that in that meeting space. We've also got a separate playlist for wellness, and we've got another playlist for data and security. So just to kind of give you a little sneak peek of how this all comes together. is all those articles that I mentioned that we wrote, we've sort of written into this really digestible format where it's just these really quick articles, and you can sort of navigate right in the tool without having to leave SharePoint. And so again, we created all this content based on research findings and sort of like talking to customers and learning like where are the real pain points. And we just sort of like reverse engineered ourselves into end user training. So this is all available today. Highly recommend that you check it out. We put a lot of heart and soul into this content, so we hope you love it. Feel free to share feedback with us. And that's about it.
All right. I think I'll just take it back quickly to conclude and talk briefly about some next steps that you can do to get going with these assets. Okay, so we showed you two things today, one of them being the workplace transformation site template, the SharePoint site template. That's something that would really encourage you to install in your tenant. We've got the link at the bottom, aka.ms WAC workplace transformation site. So get that into your environment. It's free, play around with it. And share it with your colleagues and your customers. If you're looking for kind of a summary of what we covered today in general, including links to also the training that Holland walked through, it's that first bullet. Sorry, I'm starting from the bottom up here, but it was a blog post that I did when we launched the site, so aka.ms WAC workplace site blog, to get those links and learn a little bit more, or just kind of recap what we covered today. So hopefully that is relevant today to all of you, and something that you can put into your tool belt and use as you're helping customers or your colleagues make this transition to the hybrid workplace. So thank you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Holland. This is really, really cool, because as we go back to this hybrid environment, it's not just a matter of flipping the switch back on and going back to the office. There's going to be some newness that we have to get comfortable with and get used to. So this is really, really cool stuff. Very awesome. Really exciting. Going to be neat to share and actually collaborate on and share the information with everyone in the community. So nice job. There was a question in the chat that might be worth calling out in the video. Is it a modern or classic site? And that is a modern site. So just everybody knows this is a modern site. I think we're all starting to figure out what classic is. So it's a modern world. So awesome. Excellent stuff.